Community voice.
Farmer comes to town with his wagon broken down. Farmer is the man who feeds us all. You just take a look and see, I'm sure you will agree.
Hi, my name is David Weiseman. I'm the chef and owner of Motley Cow Cafe in Iowa City, Iowa.
I understand that you try to use locally sourced ingredients as much as possible when planning your menu, but I'm curious whether you work with the farmers to grow certain items for your menu, or do you look at what they have ready for market and alter your menu accordingly?
We like to work with the farmers to plan our menu, and sometimes in advance during the winter as they're planning their season, they come and talk with me about what ingredients or produce they will be growing, and we'll look through seed catalogs and they will plant accordingly. Otherwise, the majority of what I do during the growing months is basically based on what they have available, what they bring to me, and I will cater my entire menu to what they do have and what is looking good.
David, did you include the purchasing local foods in your business plan?
Absolutely. I mean, I came into this business in 2002, and the use of local ingredients in the business plan was already pretty well instilled into the Motley Cow Cafe. And as I took it over, I only wanted to grow that aspect of the business. And I feel like we've been very successful in doing that as we've grown our relationships with the producers of produce and meats, and we continue to do so even now. During the produce season, we use about 90% local produce, and throughout the year, we're probably at about 70 to 75% local meats. And so as the infrastructure of our supply grows, I see no reason why that can't continue to grow almost to 100%.
So we know that local purchases help keep money and other resources in the community, but is it less expensive to purchase foods locally?
Well, sometimes it can be less expensive. I believe strongly in using organic produce, and if we have certified organic produce that's grown in the national field, then it can be very expensive, in which case the local organic that we use, which isn't certified, but because I know my producers, I know it's organic, and that can drive down the price of the produce. But more often than not, I use it not because of the improvement in price, but because of the improvement in quality and freshness. And I feel like it's a longer-term investment to keep that money in the community, and then that strengthens the community that I am a part of, and who knows, in theory, it might actually bring those buying dollars back around through my front door.
So it says on the Johnson County Local Food Alliance website that almost all produce in Iowa, organic or otherwise, travels an average of at least 1,200 miles to get here, to get to Iowa, spending 7 to 14 days in transit before it goes to market. I imagine that the freshness of the ingredients is a huge component to the Buy Fresh, Buy Local campaign as well.
That is first and foremost my primary concern. I mean, ultimately, we are a restaurant that wants to serve the best food we can, and the freshness of our produce or our meats is our first concern.
Do you think that you've attracted a certain clientele because of your commitment to local foods?
Definitely, there are people in the community who are specifically looking for those local foods and the organic foods. And then I think there's another group who just wants good food. And maybe the local and organic issues aren't necessarily on their radar, and they come back for the quality of food. And they discover that the two are intrinsically linked. You know, the freshness of supporting the local produce and using the local produce is inherently creating better food.
How is your menu affected seasonally by your commitment to buying local foods?
Well, we choose to adjust our menu seasonally for a couple of reasons. primarily what is available with quality at any given point in the season is obviously going to change pretty dramatically. And so inherently our menu is going to be affected by that. In addition to that, what anyone really wants to be eating in January and July is inherently going to be pretty different. In the summer months, we use a ton of local produce, and then, you know, towards the winter months, as local produce is starting to wane, we have to look towards the national market and buy from the certified organic markets.
Now, I understand that you're a board member on the Johnson County Local Food Alliance. I'm curious what you would say to community members to convince them to buy local foods.
Well, there are several strong quality of life issues that I think affect why community members should be buying from community farms. The economic support that you give to our local community strengthens us as a community, keeping dollars invested back into our local towns and cities. I think there's an incredible heritage value in Iowa of local farms, small family farms, that we have to continue to recognize throughout, you know, our future history, and we have to continue to support, because this is our cultural heritage, and once it disappears, it's kind of a permanent disappearance. That's our culture that we're talking about, and it's not difficult to support. I mean, buying your tomatoes from the local farmer's market or buying your pork from a local vendor is one of the simplest things you can do to keep Iowa and Johnson County heritage alive. And that's what I believe in and I'm trying to do in my restaurant.
We work through the spring and the summer, winter and the fall. Oh, but the markets work the steadiest and the hardest of us all. It worked on nights and weekends, worked each holiday, settled down among us, and it never went away. Farmer comes to town with his wagon broken down. The farmer is the man who feeds us all.
Community. Community. Community.